Usually nobody cares about the roof. It sits above all the corridors and rooms of the neon veil, between signals that don't talk to each other, and the only reason to be there is if you follow the cat that seems to enjoy spending full moon nights there. No one ever thought about following it, and the cat went there the same way cats usually go, without any announcement, in the manner of something that had decided and is not interested in discussing the decision. Until one night, a Nyaspect followed it. It had not been invited. The cat also did not acknowledge its arrival. They sat together at the edge of the roof for a long time, looking out at the broadcast glow below in complete silence. Nothing happened. Until something did. It wasn't a sound. Nyaspect was always careful to emphasize it to anyone who would listen afterwards. It was more like tuning into a frequency that was not meant for you and only catching a part of it. Feeling the shape but not seeing it. Pieces of it settling into you before you can understand what they were. The bit did all it could to understand and all it could to remember, and it has been telling the story ever since. Nyaspects gather loosely, a bit chaotically, and some of them are clearly there without any purpose, while some are just nearby and curious. Some of them are even deliberate in their decision to gather. All of them together, regardless of their growth stage. The bit stood in the middle of them and said, "There was something before Nyae, a goddess." A pause. Silence fell upon the small, soft creatures. They waited. She was a moon, or the night sky. I'm not sure, but I think if you're important enough, they might be the same thing. Or they are the same thing anyway? It delivered this with complete confidence despite questioning itself. Nobody else questioned it. She wasn't supposed to feel things. It continued. Something large and impersonal had decided this. Like a rule that's been a rule for so long it's forgotten it was ever decided. It looked at them. She felt things anyway. Several Nyaspects nodded. Of course she did. She fell in love with someone and she shouldn't have. Someone who for her felt like the dark between the stars. Someone who made her love not only himself but also the world around her. It paused. He pretended to be smaller than he was to get close to her, not to love her, no, to learn her. And somewhere along the way he stopped pretending. The gathering was very quiet. Then he died, but she lived. Not long. The bit said simply. She broke apart. The pieces went everywhere. It let that sit for a moment, the way it deserved to. Some Nyaspects swept off their tears. Some released a husky gasp. Few shook their heads. One of the pieces is Nyae, I think. The middle part, it admitted, was harder. There had been a spring, a forest, a palace of foxes, which it described with more confidence than accuracy, a gate, some stairs, detailed it had added itself in the weeks since the roof situation, filling the gaps with what felt right. A place which for its inhabitants looks very raw and empty, to bits now looked almost like a lively shrine. There had been one fox who could see her. This part, it told slowly. A being who was very complete, very certain, the kind that sees something and walks toward it without asking itself whether it should, who saw Nyaya when she was invisible and stayed, who gave her heart. Another pause. literally. Her actual heart, so that Nya could live. Then she was gone. A small Nyaspect near the front made a sound. I know, the bit said. It made a disruption. It said this honestly. The cat had not shown it at this part, but it had thought about it carefully since on many subsequent evenings, and it believed the following to be true. The fox had not gone away. It thought she had become the cat. It could not prove this. The thoughts it had felt on the roof, thoughts that felt old and patient and fond in a way that had no bottom to it. Those thoughts had felt like someone who had been watching over something for a very long time. Not watching over, staying, the way the moon stays, not because it decides to, just because that is what it is. I think the cat sits on that roof and looks at the signal and thinks something like, "There you are," without the words, just the feeling. It looked at them all. I don't think Nya knows. I think she feels something when she looks at the cat and sets it aside because there's always something else. A pause. And the cat watches her set it aside. And stays. The time passed and the gathering slowly dissolved. Some Nyaspects fell asleep. Some got entangled into typical Nyaspect activities. Some went away. A few of them glanced upward as they left, towards the window, towards the moon beyond it. The story had been wrong in places. It was missing things, and had extra things added that had never been there before. But somewhere, in the middle of all the wrong details, in the part about the fox who saw and stayed, something true had passed between them. That was the thing about stories told by Nyaspects who had sat on the rooftops on full moon nights and felt something they weren't meant to feel. They remembered wrong. But they remembered.